Hi, Leo, Sun and Rising. Welcome to your February 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Okay, so February. I'm recording this in January. And some of the themes of January spill into February. So, namely, the Mercury retrograde. Mercury started out in Aquarius. It goes back into Capricorn, and it stations direct in Capricorn. Let me just talk before then about the actual first major transit, which is the new moon at 12 degrees of Aquarius, which is on the first of the month. But I found out that for some of us in the Midwest or west of that, it's going to be on January 31st, late at night. And so in that time frame for the world, this is at 12 degrees of Aquarius, and Aquarius is your opposite sign. So this is going to occur in the opposite house. Of course, mileage may vary depending on your natal chart, and this is why, or if you're looking at it from the solar chart perspective, this is a general reading, so I'm just going to read it. I tried to get fancy sometimes with different degrees, but I'm not going to do that because it just confuses me too much. I know other astrologers can do that, some, but not me. And so the seventh house is the house of committed partnership, but it's also the house of legal affairs, court cases, and public relations. So because the Mercury retrograde was here, there may have been some issue that got lost in translation and has to be sorted out, okay? And the new moon is occurring during this Mercury retrograde. So there is this air of uncertainty, I would say, that kind of accompanies this. And as a matter of fact, I don't have the ephemeris in front of me, but I think that the Mercury retrograde was around 12 degrees of Aquarius. I might be wrong about that, but that would be very interesting. So if you go back to the time of the Mercury retrograde around mid-January and think about something that happened as it relates to relationship issues. This was right before the full moon in Cancer. Maybe you had a misunderstanding with your significant other, and that led to some kind of big deal, or if some contract that had to get signed got screwed up somehow. These things can come back in harmony, but it may take a couple of weeks. This is a new moon. The new moon in the seventh house can be planning a wedding, going forward with some kind of commitment ceremony. Maybe moving in is your way of committing to a relationship, moving in with someone, or getting divorced. I think I saw that in a private reading. A new moon for somebody that was getting divorced, and I kind of joked about that because it really is. If the seventh house is about committed partnership, the dissolving of committed partnership has to be a part of that. And the new moon could be, this is a new phase in our relationship, which is divorce. And it really is. And some people report after they get divorced that they're good friends with their ex. It's amazing. I think it's wonderful that happens. And I think it's indicative of the fact that some people are better off as friends rather than in that type of relationship. So on the third, Mercury stations direct at 24 degrees of Capricorn, and this for Leo is your sixth house of work. So again, something I mean, if this is something to do with the workplace, that could be it as well, where there was some kind of negotiations. Even maybe you were in arbitration or there was some legal involvement. Maybe you sued your employer or something, whatever. Maybe it isn't like actual lawsuit in a courtroom, but more of a mediation. And so now that Mercury goes direct in that sixth house, that could be a good sign that things are going to move forward in that area. This can be like hearing back from an employer, perhaps that you sent out a resume and maybe it did get screwed up. Who knows? But anything with workplace matters can get more clear. And Mercury comes out of its shadow in a couple of weeks. So after that, so give it time to totally get back up to speed. Speaking of which, on the 14th, Mercury goes back into Aquarius, and so it's back in that seventh house. Again, Mercury can be paperwork and contracts and negotiations. And the seventh house can have that legal angle or partnership angle. Yeah, even like partnerships, if you were partnering with someone like professionally, and maybe that got somehow confused, and then you were thinking about going back to work for somebody else. Maybe now you realize you can work with that person. It was all, their email went to spam or something. Who knows? On the 16th, we have a full moon at 28 degrees of Leo, your sign. It's a late degree of Leo, so it's very, I don't know if this is true, but it feels like very powerful when we have these full moons in late degrees. Like something is, like the real finality of something. And for you, this is your first house, so this can be any area of life that you're letting go of, that you're done with, walking away from. It could be realizing something, like being illuminated about yourself and about how you your attitudes, your behaviors, and being able to see them not with any kind of shame or criticism, but just seeing them as they are and being able to let go of that and move towards something better. On the 18th, the sun goes into Pisces, and this is your 8th house, and this is pretty deep stuff, deep diving. And there will be a new moon here in early March, and that's kind of like, it's very interesting because it's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. You have this ending, in your house of the self, this full moon, and then you're ready to become a new creature. And I wanted to also talk about the and one more thing too. If there's anything to do with inheritance issues, that we're dealing with Mercury retrograde and a contract, like paperwork, a will, that could be resolved maybe in early March, going into March. But anyway, I wanted to talk about Venus and Mars, the divine lovers, which are both in Capricorn. Venus was retrograding throughout the month of January in Capricorn, in that 6th house for you. So I feel like, I mean, I don't know, Leo, maybe there was some person that you had an affair with in the office and you reignited it, rekindled it. I don't know. But the other possibility is somebody who is Venus can be money. And so if you were um, having a salary dispute, maybe a coworker, you found out that somebody that has the same position as you is making more money and there's no real excuse for that. There's no plausible explanation. You might be on the warpath because Mars is here as well. So, yeah, there might be some kind of conflict in the workplace, but you're also trying to negotiate at the same time. And so, anyway, and it's interesting too because um, when Mercury stations direct in that house of work on the 3rd of February, it's going to be very close to Pluto, which is also in that 6th house. So it's almost like you're seeing through. Remember that song by the Beatles, I'm Looking Through You? You could be saying that about co-workers. Like you can see their true motives. Because Pluto in the 6th house, all these years since, and of course that's going to vary from person to person in reality, but Pluto has been in Capricorn since January of 2008. So there could be a lot of power plays, but some of it could be coming from you too, where you want that power. And so you're participating in it and you're creating that reality where there's pushback and other people don't trust you because of it. So something could be coming out, maybe a secret coming out, or you realizing something within yourself. And definitely with that full moon in your sign, you may resolve to be changing the way that you operate. And that could be a good thing because you might be unintentionally overbearing because you are a very ambitious person, no question. And you are somebody who is seeking excellence. And perhaps you are in a situation, Leo, where other people around you are not as committed to that, and that pisses you off. However, having said that, you have to be careful not to overstep your boundaries if you are not in that position of authority to do so. And you do you. You tend to your own garden. And water seeks its own level. If you feel like you're surrounded by slackers, maybe it's time to look for another job. And I'm just saying, the reason I'm saying that, maybe you don't want to leave, maybe you like certain aspects of your job and that you should stay there, but then you have to mind your own beeswax and do what you do. You don't have to do other people's work, though. You should never have to cover for anyone or do, when I say cover, I mean, be deceitful to enable another person to be a slacker. But by the same token, if you stick to your own work and let it speak for itself, I think that you will come out smelling like a rose. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, I'm promoting my deep dive readings because they're extended natal chart interpretation and transits for a reduced price. You can find out more about that reading and my other readings at the link below. Take care.